Hey folks, Shane DeApril here, co-owner and co-publisher of Campaigns and Elections. This is Campaign Insider. Thanks as always to our Campaign Insider video sponsor, Probolsky Research, opinion research on politics and public policy. Today I'm joined by Brian Young. He's a media planner at ACRONYM. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Brian, we want to talk about voice search today. You are speaking next week at Campaign Tech East in Washington, D.C. You've got to talk on this topic, why, or we're calling it the change campaigns aren't ready for. And you recently wrote in Campaigns and Elections to this effect. Talk to me about exactly what campaigns need to be understanding about voice search going into 2020, and also why do you think so many are ignoring it?
Definitely. I think the big thing to point out is that, voice search adoption is increasing dramatically. It's predicted by 2021 that more people will have voice search in their house than they will have tablets, and more people will have more than one voice search device in their home. In fact, I have three. I have one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen, and one in the living room. And they're a part of our lives now. We ask them to wake us up, when our frozen pizza is going to be done, or even what movies are playing at the local theaters, which means if you're a voter, that might be where you're asking the questions as you head down to the polling location or you're filling out your mail ballot.
Just to back up for a second, Brian, because this is something we hate to accuse political campaign marketers of sort of being behind the times when it comes to tech. Why do you think that this is something that folks in the campaign space have not yet jumped on?
Definitely. I think the big issue is that you don't expect it to be something that you need to pay attention to. You're worried about so many other things. You're worried about organic ranking on SEO. You're worried about Facebook ad transparency rules. The last thing you're thinking about is this new device in your home. But while we're thinking about SEO, we need to think about how our pages are now ranking in voice search. Because unlike Google, where you type in a name and you have 4 to 5 results on your first page that matter, and you can pick between those, you only get one result with voice search. And so it's important to make sure your result is that one, because there is no scrolling. There's no scrolling there.
Now, talk about adoption. You mentioned that you've got 3 of these devices in your home. I've got 0. But maybe by 2020, I will have one. How quickly are the projections of, voice search growing and, voice search devices, being in homes from now until, 2020?
Great question. I mean, between now and when they first dropped on the market, which I think was just like about 3 years ago, voice search indexing in the last 2 years has increased 700%. So we're seeing like a massive amount of people asking questions. And with that, people are starting to trust Alexa and trust Google as subject matter experts. So as we see these devices increase in everyone's home, we can expect also that that's who we're asking.
If I'm a campaign, what are sort of the basics for me, right? Even if I'm paying attention to some of the voice search data, what should I be looking for, and how should I be ensuring that my campaign and my candidate, is getting the voice search results they want to be?
Definitely. I would say the lowest hanging fruit here is making sure that your Wikipedia page is friendly to your campaign. And that sounds tough and it sounds maybe not like the greatest thing, but at the end of the day, the opposition has editors too, and they will be updating their pages and yours to reflect what they think is most valuable in that Wikipedia article. So if your campaign isn't looking at finding an editor to add to the communications team, I would, because when they say, tell me about Beto O'Rourke, you want to make sure that when it references Wikipedia, it references what you need.
Yeah. Brian, is there any kind of understanding as yet of what are the most common questions that folks are, using voice search for? Is it, tell me so-and-so's position on X? Is it, where is my polling location? Anything we know about what people are asking specifically?
The number one thing asked of voice speakers I read in an article a little ago was setting a timer. But as far as politics goes, they haven't really been transparent with that. There was an article from Marketing Land a few weeks ago mentioning that sooner than later, Google Analytics will start showing where you display in voice search and what questions and combination of keywords sent you there. And that it'll operate very similar in the way AdWords works, right? Where you buy particular search terms and they pop up. Well, we'll start seeing those search terms available for how a candidate turns out. I want to point out that right now, we live kind of in an echo chamber with these platforms, right? For lack of a better term. If Google knows that you read a lot of Breitbart, and believe me, Google knows if you read a lot of Breitbart, or if Amazon knows that you read a lot of CNN, and they know if you read a lot of CNN, it's probably going to suggest a candidate to you. You say, who do I vote for in this election? That is most preferential on those two media sources. Because it's built around providing unchallenging and relevant results, right? If you ask Google a challenging question and it gives you an answer that you think is not right, who knows, maybe you'll use Bing next time. I mean, unlikely, but it could happen, and that's important to them.
Yeah, and Brian, I want to get your reaction to some numbers from a recent survey that C&E partnered with PSB Research on. Earlier this year, we polled campaign industry professionals via an online poll. It was our sort of inaugural State of the Campaign Industry poll, and we asked a number of questions about sort of technologies and platforms that would be important for the future of campaigns, and we asked specifically about voice search. It was a bit of a surprising number to me. We only got 40% of political professionals who thought that voice search would either be very important or somewhat important for the future of campaigns. A full 31% of them answered not too important or not important at all, and 29% didn't have an opinion. That doesn't seem to bode really well.
That's such an interesting thing to say. Like you said, I hate to say that my colleagues are a little bit behind, but I think that they're not accounting for how fast this adoption is coming. I think they're thinking of it inserting itself into the living rooms at the rate color television did versus like a black and white TV set. But the adoption rate is huge, and people are using them more and more for just about everything. So I would argue, 40%, that's not good enough. We need to be looking at, I hope that, at least on my side, that we see a 90% think this is important in the near future.
Yeah. Next question for you, Brian. What do you think, or what's your, if I could ask you to make a prediction about, how vital you think this will be practically in 2020? Is there going to be a sort of moment, as there often is in political campaigns, with a specific platform or a specific technology where all of a sudden everybody says, oh crap, we should have been paying attention to this? Do you kind of see that in 2020, or take a little longer?
I do. I think it could be 2020. At the end of the day, Google and Facebook, they're running out of room to run advertisements, right? Facebook sold out the Facebook feed in 2016, and it's been sold out ever since then. And bid prices are going higher and revenues are going down. So they need a release valve for more ad placements. And at the end of the day, I think that's going to be voice search. And what I would hate to see is all of a sudden in the middle of a campaign, you're able to, just like AdWords, buy search terms, and all of my colleagues are caught going like, I don't know how to do this yet. I haven't prepared at all. So I hope that they're using SEO, long tail search results as a model. They're starting to build a voice SEO model now, so that when they do have to go buy the keywords and they do have to create the ads, they're ready.
Brian Young, media planner at ACRONYM. You can hear him next week at Campaign Tech East. He's speaking on voice search, the change campaigns aren't ready for. Look forward to hearing your talk, and thanks for joining me today, Brian.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks.